those same documents would go to the embassy.
Look at the brochure and then you'll see the schools that offer that.
There are opportunities out there for young people to get tech savvy and start impacting lives around the world.
So I'm very excited to welcome you to this episode of My Career Story. Hello and welcome to this episode of My Career Story. Thank you for being a part of our dream to inspire young minds with a culture of possibility. I have with me here a very experienced consultant economist, and he'll be sharing ideas that will help you in your academic journey. And if you have dreams of becoming an economist in Nigeria, I think this is going to go a long way for you. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Tony Odu.
The pleasure is all mine.
So I'll quickly read his recitation so that we know a little more about him. Mr. Tony Odu is a consultant economist by profession. He attended Mount St. Gabriel Secondary School, where he switched from science class to social sciences a few weeks before WAEC examination. He then acquired a bachelor's degree in economics in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Tony Odu has worked with reputable brands in Nigeria in the course of his over 7-year career as a researcher and economic consultant. He is passionate about empowering youth to express their full potential. So it's really great to have you here. So we'll start with the first question. How would you describe the field of economics? What's it about in your own words?
So economics basically is interested in two key areas: your wants or your desires, and then the amount of resources available to you. So it's majorly about how interested in how individuals, firms, and nations in general use these scarce resources available at their disposal to achieve their desired goals and objectives. So you see, an economist is interested in providing policy options for firms and for businesses and also for individuals on how to use their resources to achieve the highest level of utility or satisfaction.
Wow. Thank you very much. So what would you say an economics graduate can specialize in? Where can they work? What is their place in the workforce or in the workplace?
Okay, they have a large number of places to work in. I'll approach this question basically by speaking to where they can specialize in. You can work with development partners. That's let's say you can specialize in development economics, which is interested in moving nations from underdeveloped or developing to developed. So how a country like Congo or Nigeria that is developing can become like the US. It helps you, provides you with information about policies to take, and then how you can reform your institutions and all of that, how to move your country from one stage in development to the next stage. So you can work for people like that specialize in development economics, you can work with the development partners like the World Bank, the UN, and the likes. There's also monetary economics, where you can work with central banks. You're interested in things about exchange rate, money supply, inflation, interested in seeing how you can tweak all of that to achieve a certain level of credit in the economy, which will in turn boost, let's say, domestic production or output, which will in turn also affect inflation, which is the price level prevalent in the economy. There's also the fiscal sector, where you can work with the Ministry of Finance. There's also the financial modeling, where you can work with different companies, help them build models, do projections for them, and show them at this current level, this is the way this company is performing. But if you do this and this and this, you'll be able to move to this next level. So there are a wide range of places where economists can work. You can work from the smallest firm to even the largest companies or even conglomerates. And one of the places I also prefer, you can teach, you can lecture from secondary school to universities. That's also an option that's available for you.
Wow. And I hope the people listening will know that it's not only courses like pharmacy that has, or medicine that has hope in society. So, you were a science student and you were fortunate to switch from pharmacy to economics just about a few weeks to your exam. So can you walk us through your journey? What informed that decision? How did you choose it, and how far have you come with it?
Okay. What I would say is, then when I was much younger, well, I was still finding my way. So I was in most of my decisions then were informed by peer pressure. So I was in a class where almost everybody was a guru, everybody was good. And then what was in vogue was I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a pharmacist. And so what also informed some of my decisions was the fact that I had two pharmacists in my house. And they immediately they were done, immediately they graduated from the university, they just got jobs, and so they were living good lives. So I just didn't like stress in my life. So I wanted something that I'll just be done with school and then I'll just get a job and I'll be okay. And so at that point, I was now contemplating, so between pharmacy and medicine, which one would I do? Because I wasn't really interested in engineering that much.
Okay.
So since I have pharmacists and they are fine, and medicine was seeming very stressful then, I was like, okay, let's do pharmacy then. So that was what I had in mind, like up until like a few weeks to when I was submitting my JAMB application.
Wow. Wow.
So before I informed my parents, we had like a family meeting, and then they were like, okay, young man, you say you want to do this. Why are you doing this? Is this what you really want to do? Is this where you're actually very, very good at? And then my siblings will now come and tell me about some of their friends or some of their colleagues that actually didn't spend as much time as they spent in the university, but they are out of the university system and they are doing good for themselves. So if I was just interested in being okay, there are other options if I just wanted to be okay. So they actually asked me to go back and think through like the different subjects and then the different areas that are available, things that I could do that I was very, very good at or very, very proficient at. So like I remember some of the examples, they also gave me like some of their friends that were accountants or economists, and they were actually doing good. So I thought through, and then I actually discovered that I'd been having like very, very good grades in economics. Actually, getting awards like in my set as maybe best economist, but I wasn't interested in it but it came easily to me. It came easily to me, but I wasn't interested in it because that was what was like in the forefront then. In my whole class, there was nobody that wanted to do economics. Everybody was either pharmacy, medicine, or engineering. So for me to now come and mention something like that, it was sounding weird. So when I went back and I thought through it, and with the support of my parents and my family, we're like, okay, let's try this. Since you're actually very, very good at this and it comes naturally to you, you can try it also. So that was what informed my decision to try economics. And what also helped was that the subject combinations were also not so, I didn't need to start reading something all over again because I basically had economics, I had mathematics, I had English. So I just added geography, which I was already doing. So I didn't really need to go above and beyond to switch from to in the jump. And the other subjects I was doing also applied also. So it was very, very good. It was very, very good. So moving from that into the university, it actually helped a lot because most of what we do in economics involve maths, and so I was already doing further maths and stuff in secondary school. So it made things actually a bit easier for me in that sense. But there were certain areas where I actually needed to put in more effort when I came into school, like areas that involve stuff that related to government, or whenever I was taking elective in political science. And then I really needed to put in much more effort than my other colleagues who had done governments or civic studies in the secondary schools. So this is actually an option that's available to many people. Looking back, I wasn't the only one who made that kind of decision. When I think back to some of my classmates, there were some other people who also did things that were similar to that. So I feel like we shouldn't be boxed in. And yeah, in as much as peer pressure is very, very real, especially at that stage in your life when you're very, very young and very, very impressionable, we should try and look above and beyond and not just focus on what everybody is doing. We should look within. What can you do better than other people, or what comes naturally to you? What is easier for you? That to some extent also would be good in informing your decisions going forward. I hope that helped in answering that question.
Yes, it even went further, and I think it's a word of encouragement to many of the people that probably because you meet some of them who are in science class that wish they will be in other classes. So, and for those who are already in art and are wondering if they have a future. So, what do you wish you had known while you were still in college or before you started your career?
Okay. One of the things I wish I had known. Okay, well, I'll mention two things. I'll mention the GPA system, the way it works, because I was used to maybe writing your exams and then your results will come out, and then either you come first or you come second or you come third
Yeah.
for the first term, the second term, and the third term, and then maybe even third term. Let's say worst case scenario, they average everything and then now give you your third term result. But that doesn't affect your class 3 or your 400 or your SS2 or your SS3. But in the university system, what you have in 100 level affects what happens in 200 level, affects what happens in 300 level and 400 level. And so I came into the system hoping to come out with the first class. And so my results were actually quite good. I graduated with a very, very good result, but it wasn't what I wanted. And I feel like if I had put in as much effort as I was supposed to put in my 100 level, it would have made things a lot easier for me in my 300 and in my 400 level. So in my 300 and 400 level, I was getting really, really good grades.
Oh, wow.
But because I didn't do so well in my 100 level, as much as I was supposed to do, as much as I wanted to do, to be able to do what, not able to graduate what I wanted to graduate with. But like I keep saying, yes, a first class is actually very, very good, but it is not everything. What it does is it basically gives you a platform, a pedestal to be able to stand out from other people. So if you get it, good, fine. It gives you a platform and you can build on that. But if you don't get it, there are still most of the people who you actually see making so much impact in the world right now. Most of them did not get a first class. So it can either push you or it can actually pull you back. So I actually look at it like it's something that can actually push someone. In as much as you don't get it, it doesn't mean you're not that good. Sometimes there are situations that might be beyond your control.
Yes.
Do you get? But still apply yourself even beyond that. And then something I also like to add was I wish I had known about that it's possible that even in a setting, because you have like your science students, they go for like IT and a lot of that, but in economics you don't do that. But I wish I had known about that, so because it would have been important for me to actually have like a feel of what the job environment would look like before I graduated, because that would help you build interpersonal skills, help you build social skills, which actually tell a lot when you're done with the school system. Because you can be very, very brilliant, but if your social skills are not so good, it would affect your work-life balance. It will actually affect the way you interact in the office. It will affect your productivity. It will affect how your superiors actually relate with you, your appraisals, and all of those things. So it's good to actually put yourself out there, try as much as possible to seek for internship opportunities. Most of them would not be paid internships, but at this stage in your life when you're mainly an undergraduate, let's money shouldn't be what you're really after. You should be more about getting the experience, because like I said, when you leave the school system and you go into the labor market, it's very, very competitive. So any extra advantage you can get over someone else, it's what you need. So in some point, it's that small internship that you did for 2 months, for 1 month, that might be able to set you apart from every other person. So it's good to try that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like maybe in a well-established institution. If it's there, fine. But even if it's not that, something as even teaching actually helps. You get, because it will help you teach you how to interact with people, how to pass your ideas along, which is what you're mainly doing in an organization where you have different people. You have different people with different ideas, but whose idea will be the main idea at the end of the day. So if you have an idea and you're not able to pass it out, you get. But something like teaching, it helps you communicate with students and then helps you. It just makes you better all around. So things like internship, I wish I had known about that. I would have taken more advantage of that.
Wow. This is so good.
So
Thank you.
I actually like to advise undergraduates, people who are still in college, try these things. It actually helps a lot.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I love the point you made about that first year in school and how is the baseline for what happens with your final result. So, you've touched on this, the time you spent and how you wish you took advantage of internships. But then, what would you say about the period of strike that happened? I think your final year, where there was this extended strike that you took advantage of um, it to learn programming. So can you shed some light on that experience and how teenagers can, or undergraduates can, acquire valuable skills during the break or
Oh,
the
okay.
strike?
That we had a strike. I think it was in 2014. I can't really remember when, but that was when I was in my final year. And so we had a strike where, yeah, it was really, really long strike. And then as of then, we're preparing to, we're writing our projects. And so our projects as an economic student, most times it involves econometrics or some form of analysis, which is quantitative. And those involves the use of certain softwares. And so as at then, I wasn't used to those softwares. All I knew about were how to derive those things in the books from the books, writing them out, but I didn't know how the application of all of those things. So during the strike, I knew what I was supposed to do in my project because I was actually interested in doing something that wasn't just common. Because as at then, many people around me were interested in just doing what another person had done. Why? I just wanted to do something different. So it made that even the topic I chose for my project was actually very, very different and very, very difficult. So I just said, okay, well, since I'm at home and I'm basically not doing anything, let me try out this software and see if I can actually attempt to solve or to settle some of the objectives that I had in my master in my project. And so that was how it started for me. And I just got the manual of the software, how to use this, how to start, how to import data, how to do all of this, how to move this. And so in no time, I was very, very good at using the software. So during the strike, I was able to finish my project, the analysis for my project, even before we actually came back to school. So by the time we came back to school, while my colleagues were about starting, I was already done. By the time I presented my results to my supervisor, he was actually very, very impressed with the results. Although he asked me to do some things further, I did some certain things, but we still had to fall back to those results that I did. And
Wow.
so the skills that I learned during that period, I was able to leverage on the strike to learn certain skills, which helped me going forward, not just only during my project, because what now happened was that my supervisor was actually very impressed with the project and then with what I was able to do, and so he retained me. He asked if if I'll be willing to stay back and work like a research assistant with him after school. And basically, I was interested in just going home and not doing anything. So that was a better option. So then he was offering me what seemed like a lot of money, and that was an incentive for me to stay back. So I stayed back, and then I was working with him, and I was actually learning a lot. And I still fell back to using that same software that I just started using jokingly.
Wow.
But what was actually very, very important was that I got very, very used to using the software. There are different ways of using it. There's the point and click method, and then there's the programming method. So even when I was done with working with the professor, when I got to the stage where I currently work, they had advanced beyond using the point and click method into using programming. So it wasn't so difficult for me to learn how to program because I had gotten used to this other technique of using the software. So while certain people where I work are still having difficulties using this technique I was using, it was very, very easy for me to just switch. And then now I'm actually very, very good at programming
Wow.
and doing all of that. So like right now, there are a lot of resources that are available to people, very, very cheap resources that are available online. Many You have so many free online courses that can actually help you, that can set you apart from the person beside you. So take advantage of some of those resources. You have courses on EDX, you have courses on Coursera, all of those. Take advantage of all of those things. They help out. Even things as you might be an economist, but you might be interested in video editing. You might be an economist, but you might be interested in something else. Take courses on all of those things. Because like I said earlier, whatever you can use to embellish your CV, I have experience in this, I'm used to this. Those are some of the things that would set you apart.
Wow, that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that experience. And you were talking about how to set yourself apart. And these days, people are job hunting. You started from researching and the opportunity that your supervisor gave you. So, what would you recommend? What courses, you've mentioned some courses, okay, what internship and volunteering opportunities do you recommend that undergraduates take advantage of during their school, especially those who want to be economists? And then what should they look out for in choosing a place to serve?
Okay. Let me see. Well, first of all, the in choosing a place to, like, let's say intern or volunteer, one of the things you should search out for first of all is if it's a place that is available online, you can go there and then search about the company, their mission, their vision, and then the corporate structure. Because one of the things that might set some people back is, let's say you go into a place and you're interning there, and then your experience is not so good. At that formative stage, it might influence you negatively. So it's good to actually research about where you want to intern. Don't just go anywhere. So research about where you want to intern. Even newspapers, because they are said an economist there. You can go and write there. You can write to those kind of places. You can write to schools also. Okay, you can write to different companies. You can write to even government agencies. Write to them. Those ones are also available. So you have also certain research institutes. Write to those kind of places. Apply there. The thing is, it actually helps you get into the labor market, because you have examples of people where they're just quickly asked to write an application, but you're a graduate and then you're having difficulties writing applications. But things like this, they actually help you get used to the process. I didn't get the other part of the question.
Okay, if there were
Oh
specific
yeah, and then okay,
institutions you
things
want to
things that
recommend.
pardon.
Okay, I asked if there were specific institutions or places you recommend for someone who wants to build.
Okay.
And I think you touched on some already.
Okay, yeah, and then I would also like to add, like I said, there are so many courses, and then there are so many YouTube videos that are available that would break down economics for you, break down certain aspects of economics or certain areas of programming to you. So you have eViews is one of the common softwares we use in Nigeria, but like in the US and in the UK, they've gone beyond that. They've delved into using different programming languages like R, like Python. So it will be good if you're used to that, because something like Python, you can use it for economics, but it's also used beyond economics. It's also used inside and in computer programming. So if you're good in something like that, it's like a graduate school in the US or in the UK. This programming language, or you're even at the introductory stage in that, it will set you apart. So it's good to go online, search how to use R, um, basic analysis with R, introduction to Python, introduction to MATLAB, all of those things. As an economist, those things, they help you and they'll set you apart.
Wow, thank you so much. It's so insightful. So, you've mentioned some of the skills and software that they should learn in the process of their volunteering or interning experience. So, what other skills, interpersonal skills, and competencies should they look to get during such experiences that will help them in their journey?
Okay, okay. Yeah, aside being very, very good technically, there are also social skills are actually very, very important, like I mentioned. Social skills, and then it's also important to be very, very innovative and to be very, very dynamic
Mm.
and to be very, very creative, because we are in an age where many people just want to do the basic,
Mm.
but it's important to go beyond the basic. Try to do what hasn't been done before. Yes, you are not reinventing the wheel, but at least try to do what would add value to wherever it is that you're working in. So I'd like to give an example of during my NYSC, uh, where I served was in the village, a very, very remote village in somewhere in Kano. And when I went there, I discovered that most of my students, their English wasn't that good. Their command of English wasn't that good. But I developed like a good relationship with most of the members of the community. Because I was actually the first copper there in a long time. Since because the accessing the community wasn't motorable. So you had to use like a bike from the local government headquarters to get to the community. So most coppers didn't actually go there. But I felt the need to go there. So when I went there, I now discovered this challenge. I spoke with my mentor about it, who's the prof I was working with. And then he said, try to do something for these people. Don't just go there and lecture and be like every other copper. Try to do something for these people. And so I thought about it, and then I discovered that most of them will be writing WAEC, but their use of English is poor. So that means when it comes to places like comprehension in English, they would have challenges there. So what could I do? So we thought about initially creating a library for them in the school. So how do we create a library? Because the school as at then, they didn't have a library or a lab. So how do we create a library when they don't have? One day when I was coming back to Zaria, I discovered that there was a book publishing company somewhere in Zaria, and then I was like, okay, how about I go and meet these people and then ask them if they'll be willing to provide books free, maybe like their corporate social responsibility for the school. And then I went and I spoke to the manager of the company, and I was like, yes, they have a lot of books that they could give out, but I just have to write officially. And so that was when it dawned on me. So the next time I went back to the community, took time, I drafted out a letterhead, and then I wrote requests to the school, and then they actually gave me a large number of books. I was like, okay, if this one can happen here, how about I do the same thing and then I go to Kano, because where I was living was actually okay. Where did we stop?
Yeah, we stopped at where you were trying to collaborate with other bookstores in Kano.
Okay. So yes, I wrote to them, and then they also responded and gave me some books. And then I, like, most of us, as at then, where I was staying was a school setting, which was like ABU, university community. But most of us were actually in the university, and we had used books in secondary schools. So most of those books, they were no longer in use. So I now asked around if people could actually donate their used books so that we could also add to the library. And so we were able to um, have a large number of books to build the first library for the school. But having books isn't all. The students have to know how to read and then how to understand what they read. So we now thought about moving beyond that, and then also having like a readers club where we would loan out books, story books to each of the students, and then they would go and then read and then come back and summarize what they've read for us in the readers club. And so it was actually very, very good. We'd have like a large number of students come around. Even the classes were not able to contain us, so people would be trooping in through the windows to hear what um, was being done. And so like as like an incentive, then I used to buy like cabin biscuits to share for some of the students. It was actually quite nice. So something like that was actually very, very good. And at the end of it, I actually applied to NYSC for a state award, and I got an NYSC award. That wasn't
Wow.
the objective, but I got an NYSC award for that. And so something as basic as that, it actually helped set me apart, because like I can remember there was an interview I went for, and when I mentioned something like this that I did, that was like the end of the interview. They were all very, very impressed, because they were asking me, are you sure? Is it true? Is it true? So it's good that you learn to observe your environment and look for what is lacking there. What can I add? What can I make? What difference can I bring in this place? Because some of those small things, they actually make the difference. So you go to your office, yes, in as much as we might not like working that much, but when you go to an office and you see that there's a deficit or there's something lacking, and then there's something I can feel, it's actually good, because it's when you become very, very reliable and dependable. That's when in your office you become you'll be someone they can't do without. So even if they were to start retrenching, you will be the last they will look at, because by the time this person goes, do you get? So it's good to always have something that makes you very, very invaluable to wherever it is that you're working at.
Wow. Thank you so much. And that was a very inspiring story. I'm sure the social project changed a lot of people's lives. Um, what role did mentoring play in your journey so far, in your career development? You've made reference to your the professor who supervised you. So how can teenagers identify and leverage mentoring relationships?
Okay. Um, so like I said, it's good to mentor in the way most of it. Sometimes you have to approach the person and then ask for to be the mentee, and then, but sometimes it happens naturally. So for some people it happens naturally. Like for me, that was what happened, because I was able, because of the output I put out. The man was impressed with what I did, and then he actually made the request, and then that was how he became my mentor. And I've stuck with him through time, and even till date we still have that relationship. But there are certain points where not everybody has that opportunity. So it's good to watch out for certain people, and then see if there's where you want to be, and then there are certain people who are currently there. So it's good that you look at those people and then see what you admire about them. But aside the fact that career-wise they are where you want to be, I also believe a lot in looking out at their lifestyle. Is this the kind of person that I want to be when I arrive at wherever I want to arrive at? So it's good that even if you don't have an option of an option of someone that has the kind of lifestyle that you want, that alongside the kind of work experience that you want, in as much as you're that person's mentee, you know what to learn and what not to learn. So it's good to, for whoever it is that becomes your mentor, always watch out, be observant, because you get to see the person's pitfalls, and then you also get to see the person's strengths. So you watch out for the strengths. And then you observe yourself also. What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? If I continue in this current path, will I be able to become like this person if I continue doing what I'm doing? So what do I need to drop and what do I need to add? So it's also it's good to know yourself first of all, and then know who you want to be your mentor. So if it happens naturally, fine. But if it doesn't, at certain point you should um uh be bold about it, be brave, and then reach out to who you want to be your mentor, and just ask politely, because you have these days some people could actually reach out to some other people on Twitter, and it's actually the way they reach out is actually very, very arrogant. But no, if you want someone to help you, you shouldn't be arrogant about it. You get?
Yes. Wow. Thank you very much. You mentioned how when you were at the interview and you talked about the social project you did, that was where the interview ended. So what do you think recruiters are looking out for in applicants, and how should the teenagers approach job hunting and interviews?
Okay. I think for interviews, being prepared is actually very, very good. For any place you would want to go on, you applied to. Yes, we have a lot of applications today, and you apply to a large number of places, but for each application, it should be tailored to wherever you want to work. Your your cover letter shouldn't, the cover letter you use when you apply to NNPC shouldn't be the same cover letter you use when you're applying to Dangote. So your cover letter should be tailored to who you are applying to. So it's good to call what are their goals, what is their mission statement, what's their vision statement, who is the head of the board of this company, what are they about, what are their values. It's good to know all of that. It helps, and then it's good to also know if you're coming to occupy a role in a certain position. It's good to know the job description, what is expected of you, and what you'll be able to deliver, because at some point they will ask you, so we have 20 people here that have the same qualifications as you. What do you have? Why should we employ you over the next person? That's when you now come in with your competencies and say what you can do beyond the next person. That's why I mentioned earlier, it's good to find what would help you stand out from the next person. And so that's where these other soft skills, they now come in. They actually help a lot. I think that was the first part of the question. I can't remember the other part.
Okay, it was how they should approach job hunting and interviews. The first part was what are they looking out for in applicants, and I think you've spoken about that. So, and you talked about the cover letter, so I think it covers both, except you want to add something.
Yeah, so like I also said, it's good to find out about the corporate culture of the place you're working in. Like now we're in a globalized village, so you can go on Twitter, just search for someone that maybe works in that kind of company, and then ask about the company. Go on LinkedIn, you see stuff about the company. Also ask about it. Some of those things they give you an edge when you know about the corporate culture of the company. You know their expectations, you know their goals. Those kind of little things they help out a lot.
Wow, thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
back to your secondary school days. You're originally a science student, excelling in economics, and you found your love for analysis and, you know, so how should teenagers think about this art, science, commerce class divide? Well, what's the difference in career opportunities, the value in society, salaries, things like that, in comparison to
Uh,
other more prestigious courses like medicine,
yes,
Yeah, so,
prestigious.
um,
Well, I think it's for I think the fact that we're in Nigeria makes that some of these things are actually very very glaring.
okay.
Because if you could remember, maybe when we were in primary school, we used to do all those debates between a doctor and a teacher, which is better, between this and that, which is better. But I believe like they are all great, all of them, all the professions, they are all great. But I believe to a large extent it depends on the individual because yes, like I said earlier, what are your core competencies? What are you actually very, very good at?
Mm,
And then that should inform what you apply to study in school. And then from there, that should apply where you apply. That should inform where you apply to work in.
mm,
Because job satisfaction is actually very, very important.
mm,
Because I could think back to myself, I could think back now and then imagine if I was a doctor or a pharmacist. Yes, I would have been a very, very good doctor and a very, very good pharmacist. But I don't think I would have the amount of satisfaction as I have today.
mm,
Because I actually love analysis. I love analyzing. I love seeing how when there's a change in GDP that affects inflation, and then when that affects inflation, how does that affect poverty? How does that affect the man on the street? All of those small, tiny details. When government raises tax rates, what is the trickle down effect to the micro sectors of the economy? I'm interested in all of that. But let's say I did something else, I might not have been as satisfied as I currently am.
mm,
So yes, if we were to be in, let's say, another country, let's say Finland or those Scandinavian countries,
mm,
there you'd be studying history and you come out as a historian and you actually be very very satisfied with what you do. So, but like in a country in Nigeria where you have like the largest employer of labor to be like even the government employs the largest number of people, unlike instead of the private sector.
mm,
So for someone, if you're basically interested in just getting a good job, yes, you can try to get a government job, and if you're satisfied with that, fine. But if you're interested in doing something beyond what is generally available to you, we have a large number of jobs where you can be in Nigeria and you can be working for a company in the US and you will still be satisfied. So even in as much as it's history you read or it's French or it's something that we take in Nigeria as not the very, very lucrative courses,
mm,
there are opportunities available for you to work remotely and still um, obtain or acquire the high level of job satisfaction that you desire. It's all about putting yourself out there, searching for those opportunities, and then going for them because it doesn't hurt. The worst you get will be a no.
mm,
That's what I believe in
mm,
applications. It's the same thing for scholarships also. You can also apply for scholarships to further your study.
mm,
Yes, this was what I did at the undergraduate level, and then it doesn't seem so good. But you can also apply for a scholarship. The worst you will still get would be a no. I know we are Nigerians and we have this fear of failure, but
mm,
if you check, if you'd actually look, most of the people that are very, very successful today, they actually have a large number of failures also. But what failures do, what they do is kind of like they are kind of like stepping stones which you step on to achieve the success. So
mm,
you hear of people like there are so many, so many. Like you hear of the person that invented the light bulb. I think he said it was at his 1,000th try. That was how he was able to find it. So if he stopped at 99 or 999, he wouldn't have gotten there. So keep trying, keep putting in the effort, and it will pay off eventually,
Wow.
God willing.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think we're drawing to the close of our conversation, and you've really touched on very important issues. We're hearing about a lot of industries changing because of technology and the pandemic. So, in your opinion, what will change in the next few years, and how can teenagers prepare?
Well, a lot is changing. You would have like in Nigeria, we are still so dependent on oil. But if you would see the way the world is going, they're moving into electric cars, and then they are having carbon emission restrictions. How that by so and so by 2030, you hear of certain cities that said they won't have any all the cars in that city will be electric, all of that. So it's good for people to, let's say you are basically just interested in oil and gas only. It's good to, yes, that's one area, but it's good to focus there, but it's also good to think beyond that. Because Nigerians, you just hear, most times we just want to hear that we want to work in an oil company. That's all what many people are thinking about. But it's bigger than that. So you have a company like Tesla, they're building electric cars. But right now, that company is more expensive than all the large oil companies that you have. As in terms of market capitalization. And that just happened within the last 2 years because trends are changing. People are no longer just looking at oil alone. So like 3 years ago, 10 years ago, you look at the list of the most capitalized companies and you see ExxonMobil, Total, and their likes. But when you see now, none of them, they are all dwarfed by Tesla and then all these new tech companies that are coming out. So now, unlike having those other companies, now you have tech at the forefront. You have Facebook, you have Amazon, you have Microsoft. So the world is becoming more technology driven than resource driven. So
Wow.
in Africa, we are more focused on resources, coal, oil, and all of that. So I think we should move our focus more towards technology. So whatever it is that you're doing, how does technology, what's the union between technology and what I currently do, and how can I become more proficient in using technology to advance my profession? So I think everybody should start looking in that direction.
Sure.
Does my profession have anything to do with programming? If it does, I need to learn it. I need to become good at it, because there are certain professions that in the next few years, those you have robots that would actually start doing what you're currently doing. So it's good to be very, very good at what you're doing. Be very, very good. But also watch out. What I'm doing, is it something that in the next 5 years, when a robot comes, he'll find it very, very easy to replace me? Then in that case, you need to find what you can add to what you're currently doing to set you apart. You get? So I feel like we need to brace up. We need to brace for impact, because a lot is going to happen within the next 5 years and the next 20 years, revolving
Wow.
around technology. And I think we are not actually prepared for it in this climate in Nigeria. We are not actually prepared for it. So I feel like we should actually, for the younger people, for the people who are just setting out, try as much as possible to be aware of what's happening, not just in Nigeria, but what's happening globally. The recent advancements in technology, the recent advancements in your field. Know about all of those kind of things, because those are the things that will set you apart. So in economics, be interested in cryptocurrencies. Yes, in Nigeria, if you want to do your project in that, you might not find a supervisor that might want to supervise you, but know about it and put yourself out there a lot more. Any small innovation that you have, put yourself out there, because it's when people know you that people will reach out to you. So get into networks on LinkedIn, reach out to people that you feel like could be good mentors to you. Reach out to them, speak with them. Those kind of things, they actually help a lot.
Wow. Thank you so much. This is so good. Thank you. So, what is your final word of advice to the teenagers? What would you say to
Okay.
them?
But I would say one thing, in as much as I try to not be too loud about it, but one thing that I can't separate from my life is the fact that God has helped me very, very well. I may not be the best at what I do, but I can't deny the fact that the grace of God has actually helped me a lot, a lot. So I mentioned internships and volunteering, but what I failed to mention was the fact that while I was in school, I was actually very, very engrossed in religious activities, in church activities, working. And so I've mentioned that at the workplace, you need a lot of interpersonal skills. You need to know how to relate with those that are above you, those that are at your level, and those that are beneath you. So what in as much as I didn't have the internship opportunities that I wanted while I was in school, working in church actually helped me a lot. It helped me relate with people that were pastors, bishops, people that we revere a lot, and relating with them, communicating with them, those things, they actually helped a lot. And so now when I'm speaking with my bosses, I know how to communicate and to relate with people that are higher than me, and to be the communication actually very, very effective, how to sell my ideas to them without being so overly forceful or sounding arrogant or sounding like I want to fight. So all of those kind of things, they help. They help a lot. And then another thing I also learned is in terms of organization and then carrying things out, what I did in church those days, arranging those small little meetings, leading my group, all of those things, they also help. So if you're someone that is in a similar situation where you work in church, you might think what you're doing there might not actually become useful. But if you're very, very proficient in what you do, later on, it's at some point it will be to become useful. Because then I also used to work under a lot of pressure. So now when pressure comes, it's not something new because I've been used to working under fire, working under pressure before, and I was handling it and I was very, very effective. So now when pressure comes, you just smile. So I feel like for the young people now, just be focused. I'm also young, so when I'm saying young people, I'm also speaking to myself. We should be focused. There are a large number of distractions out here. There are a large, as the days are going, distractions are multiplying. You have a lot of, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have so many things. There are so many things, too many things are calling for your attention as in all the time. So if you must be on Twitter, if you must be on Twitter and you must be on Instagram and you must be everywhere at the same time, I would recommend that you tailor the people you follow to people that are in in the fields that you want to work in. So you get used to seeing the way they think. You get used to seeing the innovations, and it actually starts narrowing your vision towards your goals and towards your objectives. And then also, if you find it difficult uh, controlling how much time you spend on some of these apps, you can put some time limiters. They actually help a lot. Sometimes, even if you need to go as far as deleting those apps so that you can focus. Because what a lot of people have problems doing today is think. We don't have time to think because what Twitter and a lot of these things do is that they think for you. So you're just being fed on people's opinions about things. So at different points in time, you should take out time to detox, internalize all these things that you've received, and then, okay, do I actually believe all these things? Is it everything I should like? Okay, this thing that I liked, is this what I'm thinking? Is this what is actually right? You get? So it's good to also develop your opinion. Don't just be tossed around by, okay, this person said this today, I like this today, I feel this, tomorrow I'm thinking about that, next tomorrow I'm thinking about that. But who are you actually? So this person would say, know thyself. It is good as a young person to take out time to, who am I? Find out, who are you? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to achieve? What don't you want to achieve? What do you want in your life? What don't you want in your life? All of those things, they would help you um, trim out so many of these other distractions so that you know that, okay, I'm focused on this. Then when you're doing something wrong, you know, okay, this wasn't what I had in my plan. And it's also good to at some point to also have vision boards. In as much as you might not have like a proper vision board, just have like something small where you write, okay, yes, it might not be cast in stone, but in the next 2 years, I want to be here. In the next 3 years, I want to be here. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do this. So you have your long-term goals and you also have your short-term goals. The short-term goals should be what should lead up to your long-term goals. So um, I think those are actually very, very important. Those things are actually very, very important.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tony.
Thank
And
you.
You have put in so much to be here. We really appreciate your sacrifice.
Thank you.
And this has been the most interesting interview morning. But it's good. I'm really happy that we finally had it. So please comment, like this video, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, write them in the comments or reach out to us and we'll get them across to him. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.